Hello everyone and welcome to a new spoiler warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. We have plenty of wrestling news to be diving into today, and as usual, that is exactly what we will be doing. Our headlines today involve Jerry Lawler's status with the WWE. He has not been released. CM Punk, a little bit as to why he was on pre-shows and Lawler was not. Drew Gulak situation needs a little bit of clarifying, including why suddenly Fightful and PWInsider are getting news about Drew Gulak when they were labelled uncredible by Triple H. We're going to talk WrestleMania in Minnesota and why it was never actually going to be a thing. Alexa Bliss return plans, as well as a slight down Dexter Lumis. I don't have anything on Joe Gacy. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn contract updates. A little bit how to grow on Twitter, which is, I'm basically talking regularly my strategy for growth. That is part of that, and it hopefully will be of interest to you guys as well. CM Punk being trapped in WWE HQ. The response to CM Punk and Big E on the kickoff show, or what they call it now is the countdown show. And a little bit on Ilja Druganov and how he's going to start in the WWE. We will, of course, in addition to that, be covering as many of your questions as we possibly can, so be sure to get those in. And while I go into the first piece of news, there's a couple of things that I usually ask for that I want to ask for one more time. We have 53 people here already, only 18 likes. 2 more gets us to 20. Let's keep that train rolling. I will, of course, be answering as many of your questions as I can, but I will get to it right after our first piece of news. So we start off with Jerry Lawler. Now, a report came out from, I believe, PWInsider that Jerry Lawler's contract had not been renewed by the WWE. This is not a case of a release, it is a case of his contract had expired, and the WWE, as with so many others, has not decided to continue that. This sounds extremely similar to the Drew Gulak news, which of course PWInsider got on the wrong end of Triple H for. So, interesting that we're hearing additional clarifications. The WWE would later clarify to PWInsider that Jerry Lawler had not been released entirely from the WWE, and while his contract was not renewed for a commentary role, which he hasn't actually done in a multitude of years, he actually is still very much under a WWE Legends contract, meaning that Jerry Lawler cannot make appearances elsewhere, including AEW. The plan for Jerry Lawler, once he'd recovered from some of the heart issues that he has been having, was that they wanted to get him back onto the pre-shows, that being the countdown shows, and have him appear on the same platform as people like CM Punk. There are a number of issues with that. Firstly, CM Punk is believed to not be a big fan of Jerry Lawler, and there are people suggesting that CM Punk has refused to work with Jerry Lawler, likely because of previous issues between Lawler and AJ Lee. The WWE had a choice to make, and they very firmly chose CM Punk over Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler is still technically available to the WWE and they can call on him at any time. He is thus very unlikely to appear anywhere else outside of his own individual promotions, where he works for a multitude of different companies. But it will be a case that when it comes to the pre-shows, we will likely only start to see him again once CM Punk is no longer involved. And we'll have more news on that later on today, telling you about that believed involvement. So Vic, thank you very kindly for renewing your channel supporter subscription for a 6th month. I very much appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who's hit like. We shot up from 18 to 33. That is 15 more likes, and just like that, about 20 more viewers, so please do keep those rolling. We have a few questions already coming in, mostly from Spiderboss. Says, I know you're a Becky fan. I want to know your opinion about why Becky hasn't put Liv over yet, because she hasn't been permitted to by storylines. That's the entire reason. A lot of people are really of the opinion that Becky's done something wrong here. Becky's involved in the creative team. She keeps asking to lose matches. The WWE keep not letting her. Talk to Triple H if you want that to be fixed anytime soon. Jess says, LFG, like the video. Thank you, Jess. And Matthew Johnson says, happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday, Matthew. Martin said, gutted I missed your Backlash watch along. Was at game and mega busy on the channel, but glad I'm here tonight. Welcome back, mate. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. And I know you're on a bit of a roll at the moment, so you keep that going. Sean says, did you see the report from PWInsider that when Alexa comes back, she won't be in Howdy's faction? More on that shortly. Robin Dave says, hey Tom, how you doing? Doing very well so far, Robin Dave. There is still a little bit of a leak, but it's mostly fixed, which is great news. It's just wonderful news that I will never shut up about. Silvic says, hello Tom, hope you're doing well, and I want to know what are the trades that were rumoured Also, when did Tanga Loa sign with WWE? Reports are accurate that Tanga Loa and Tama Tonga signed with the WWE at the same time, and in fact it just wasn't really publicised because Tanga Loa is not so big a name. He just isn't so big a name that they would actually allow that to get out in the same way, and it wouldn't make that big news. That's the point of the signing. When you say what are trades that are rumoured, what do you mean as regards that? Do you mean rumoured trades for the draft? Because that has been, and it doesn't look like it's going to be finalised tonight outside of what we've already seen. We have a very generous contribution from Martin, a £5 contribution. Says, let's go, it's spoiler warning time. Fun fact, you can now hit like on contributions. So I can see 2 people have already done that, and I very much appreciate both of you for having done so. I did not know that was a thing. That's really good news. We have 90 people here, 39 likes, 1 more gets us to 40. Let's keep that ball rolling. Spider-Boss says, good to see a tribute to Bray, but my concern is Triple H's booking. Let's remember Triple H didn't know what to do with Bray. Bray Wyatt essentially was writing himself. Martin says, hey Tom and chat, how is everyone? Did you all have a good weekend? As bank holidays go, pretty good. Nice weather around here. Rosaris here says, hello Tom, seated for spoiler warning. Spider-Boss says Triple H denying the reports from Fightful and PWInsider was good. If anything, I'd say it was clarifying, not so much denying. We'll get on to Drew Gulak in just a moment. Ella says, hi Tom, is there any word on WrestleMania Vegas tickets and when they're likely to go on sale? Not for a long time yet, don't you worry. It'll be around after SummerSlam time. I suspect they're going to become official. JJ says, hey Tom, I saw that Seth re-signed his contract. Do you have a Becky contract update? Seth did not re-sign his contract. He signed a brand new one, which does allow a certain amount of limited date, but nowhere near the level of a Roman Reigns deal. As regards Becky Lynch, I suspect she will be signing shortly. It's just not got over the line just yet. Becky Lynch has more offers from Hollywood, and I suspect she wants a deal that respects that. Ray, sorry to hear it, but also happy to hear it. Leon says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you, Leon. Bailey says, Jerry Lawler doesn't exactly fit the new era. To my knowledge, Triple H had no interest whatsoever in having Jerry Lawler in any way involved in the WWE. Now to 12 likes on your contribution, Martin. Love it, absolutely love it. Spider-Boss says, do you think Becky versus Liv will take place at King and Queen of the Ring or at Money in the Bank? Good question. You're asking for really in-depth information that I don't have as we speak. Michael says, hi Tom. Hello, Michael. Ayo says, with Coolio's contract expiring in June, will WWE be interested in signing him? As quoted by Fightful, prior to the hiring freeze, they were interested. Fightful have reported that. I'm yet to hear anything as regards it. I don't have contracts in and around Hikuleo. Ryan says, does Triple H intend to bury CM Punk? No. Do they trust each other? Yes. That simple. Selvig says, rumoured trades for the draft on Raw. Seems unlikely at this point in time. Everything looks like it's going to be finalised. The only real option at this point in time is for Roman Reigns to be dragged back into the situation. That seems unlikely at this point in time. Q43 says, what are your thoughts on the hate that Tanga Loa is getting on social media? Every wrestler gets hate on social media. Social media, thankfully, is not life like football is life or like wrestling is life. One says, hey Tom, isn't it shocking TK hasn't tweeted anything in 2 weeks? Not really. He found different platforms in which to be saying things. Spider-Bot says, what's next for Cody's title reign? A new challenger. Noob says, hello Mr. Colohue, how are you doing today? Doing well, thank you. Wiggly says, what up Tom? What up yourself? Brandon says, is there a chance Gunter will face Cody for the championship, or is strictly going after the heavyweight championship? At this point in time, he seems strictly after the heavyweight championship because that's on the brand he is on. There is still a possibility that he will win the Royal Rumble, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that one. I think he's a genuine contender already, but we're not there yet. Ricky says, hey Tom, buddy, hope your weekend was good and happy Monday. Happy Monday to you as well. My weekend was very good, thank you. It's McCade says, hi. Hello, it's McCade. Sid says, what was your favourite match at Backlash? I very much enjoyed the tag match, but I also very much enjoyed the triple threat. The ending did kind of sour me on the tag match, so I'm going to go triple threat. Also, I think the main event was good, but not world class. Wiggly says, is there a reason Triple H doesn't like Jerry Lawler? I've reported what I can. Sean says, I think Becky vs. Liv happens at SummerSlam. Spider-Boss, when we could see Jacob Fatu on SmackDown when he's ready. Wiggly says, I was under the impression WrestleMania 41 was meant to be in Minneapolis until Vegas was confirmed. Does this mean it will be for WrestleMania 42 instead? More on that later, though there is no correlation, I will say. Dylan says, hey Tom, how was your weekend? Have a question for you. What was your reaction to Tom Colohue debuting at Backlash? Sorry if I butchered the name. You did not butcher the name, he's added an extra O to it. As regards my reaction, you can see it live. I did a whole watch party on Backlash, and you can see my confusion. Darkness, first, thank you for sharing the stream link earlier. I appreciate you. Do you think Alexa Bliss will join Bo Dallas? We have more on that shortly. That is going to be the fourth piece of news. I've already done the first. We're about to start our second, just as soon as I'm all caught up. Khalid says, I can't wait to see Roman Reigns come back and Rhea. Razar says, what are your thoughts on fans always being mad that Bayley isn't featured on posters? It's doing really good things for her because they're mad. Sid says, the French crowd was lively at Backlash. Yes, it was. It says, any update on AEW TV deal and AEW planning some releases? AEW are actively releasing people as we speak. They're just doing it a lot more quietly. Wiggly says, so your prospective picks for Money in the Bank? At this point, I don't have any. Joey says, hey Tom, do you get any additional news on Tonga Loa's debut? Nope. They've been preparing him for a little while. He's been as heavily involved as Tama Tonga has been. It's just that Triple H has worked out who the leakers are. Yeah. Next piece of news is a clarification of what's going on with Drew Gulak. We have 84 people watching, 47 likes. 3 more. 3 more gets us to 50, which is a lovely round number. Let's get to the situation with Drew Gulak. So, as Triple H quite rightly clarified, Drew Gulak was not released by the WWE. Instead, his contract was simply not renewed, which is a case of a number of different people at the moment. The WWE aren't necessarily cutting people, as simply not letting them stay. It's in fact a very similar situation to how the WWE is currently handling Brock Lesnar. Now, I did mention something about this on Twitter in order to fish a little bit. I didn't have a proper follow-up, and I do apologise for not getting that information, but we are where we are with that one. When it comes to that situation, Brock Lesnar is not likely to come back. They're waiting for his contract to end. That is exactly the situation with Drew Gulak. They weren't willing to have him wrestle anymore, so they just let it go quietly. His contract will also slowly lapse as regards Brock. Gulak was asked about the accusation by Ronda Rousey, and the WWE weren't happy with the response. So an investigation did take place, but they had already decided not to renew his contract. So if anything, it just confirmed the decision they'd already made. Allegations of bullying have since emerged, only after Triple H called out Fightful and PWInsider as not credible due to their reporting on this exact topic. Curiously, both Fightful and PWInsider had some big news to share right after that accusation by Triple H. Personally, I think there might be a connection to Fightful getting a load of Drew Gulak news and Fightful being questioned about their Drew Gulak news. Next up is a little bit on WrestleMania, and then we get to Alexa Bliss. Spider-Boss says, Jey Uso is so over the fans, it surprised me WWE hasn't pulled the trigger on Jey. That was the trigger pulled. There's a difference between winning the World Championship and pulling the trigger. The trigger has already been pulled on LA Knight. Doesn't mean he's going to win the World Championship. Not everyone gets to be World Champion, certainly now. Noob says, what's next for Damage Control now that they lost their titles? They're going to be heavily involved in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Sean says, happy birthday to Dakota Kai. Happy birthday indeed. Jess says, how's the hole doing? Still gaping? Still gaping, yep, and still leaking, just less. Can't wait to leave. 2 months. 2 months. Martin says, think Alexa will join, but later, as he reportedly have 5, so she must be the 6th of Wire 6. Well, kind of Wire 6, I pray they don't call it that out of respect. We'll see. It's a Silmarillion situation. Robin Dave says, I really hope fans won't boo Roman Reigns when he returns as a babyface. We all know how that went through last time. No, they won't. Joey says, do you know why Triple H took shots at Fightful and PWInsider? Was it an accident or done on purpose? Triple H does not do things by accident. He was taking a shot. Now, there has since apparently been a lot of apologies made, none of them by Triple H, though that's been represented. Q43 says, is Seth Rollins' contract similar to Randy Orton's with the limited dates? Yes, it is. That's in fact a very good comparison. Randy Orton and in fact the Usos both have limited date contracts. They are simply not limited to the level of a Roman Reigns. That does mean they don't work every single week, but they only get about 2 months off a year. Edge also had something similar. Hector says the new bloodline is God, Solo and Jacob Fatu. We will see on that one. I suspect we get Roman and the Usos versus the God and Solo Sikoa before Jacob Fatu debuts. Joey said, do you know if there's big plans for Ilya? More on that later. That is one of my headlines. Spiderbot says fans are hypocritical. Fans complain about Roman for the last 4 years. Did they? I don't think they did. 4 says, any news about Alexa Bliss? Yes, that will be my 4th piece. The 3rd piece is about to start. Bailey says, is a Gable Stevenson contract also not being renewed? That is correct. He is not being released. He is simply no longer wanted. He signed a contract many moons ago at WrestleMania, and at WrestleMania this year, his contract lapsed. The WWE had him on a pay-per-play contract, so they didn't lose much money, but he didn't turn up at times. Spider-Boss says, with all the money that Brock Lesnar has, I think he doesn't need to wrestle. He hasn't needed to wrestle for about 20 years. Selvig says, is God versus Usos a plan for the future? Yes, it is. Dylan says, so you can say if I'm reaching a bit with this, with WrestleMania 41 being in Vegas next year, is it possible to actually be doing Roman Rock instead of Rock Cody? Yes, it is possible that either of those matches happens. Triple H has an idea, but it is not leaked at this point in time. As we're on that topic, let's talk WrestleMania. We do have 49 likes. One more to 50. Can you be the one? WrestleMania in Minneapolis, Minnesota was never locked in. There is also no correlation whatsoever with the Brock Lesnar news. The WWE simply got a better offer before the deal with Minnesota could be finalised. It was supposed to be done and dusted by WrestleMania. There was no actual problem with the weather. The WWE did not think, oh, it's cold at this year's WrestleMania, let's cancel the whole thing. That wasn't the plan. However, around January, February time, a different offer was made, which certainly tempted the WWE, and that was Vegas. One of the reasons the WWE held off is because they were requested to change the date. Again, this happened before it was really cold in this year's WrestleMania. Las Vegas, or in fact the authorities around Las Vegas that would pay the WWE handsomely, not only would pay a lot more than Minnesota would, but they requested a move for WrestleMania to the Easter break, which suited the WWE better as well. They offered particularly big money knowing that the casinos in the area would make an absolute fortune. And the intention is to have a week-long WWE event which would essentially guarantee that the entire place is full to the rafters with potential gamblers for a full week. The weather was sure of interest, but this came down to pure money and a 100% business decision by the WWE to make sure that they got their money's worth, and Las Vegas was the obvious choice. The planned card is not related whatsoever. Not related. Joey says, will Fightful still be invited to media scrums after what Triple H said about them? Yes, there are a lot of people in those media scrums he does not like. Dylan says, simply because do you want to make a first impression for Netflix? Again, no correlation whatsoever. People are putting way too much stock on Netflix. It's got nothing to do with the draft. It's got nothing to do with WrestleMania. The WWE, as far as they're concerned, are business as usual when it comes to the Netflix deal. Ricky says, hey Tom, do you know how long Jimmy Uso is out for? I don't exactly, and I haven't been given any information as to his likely return schedule. Next piece of news will be about Alexa Bliss and her impending return. It's McCade says, do you think we're getting Alba and Ilia tonight? I really hope so. Also, do you see Kiana tonight too? I found that unlikely, unfortunately, because we do have a lot of matches, some of which are very exciting. Jess says, SRS is on Twitter coping, seething, and saying that Triple H didn't mean it. What I will say, and I want to take this opportunity, while, yes, I don't like his tactics on social media, and you know I have a long-standing issue with the man, I have seen some real intense attacks on a number of different people, kind of in my name recently. And guys, I just want to be clear, if I want to pick a fight, I'll pick a fight. I don't want to be that guy who argues with everyone on Twitter. I don't want to be that guy who, in my name, a whole lot of people pile on and go nuts and attack people. My opinion is, if someone is a bad person, I will nothing them. Because hatred takes effort. I can't be arsed hating Sean Ross Sapp the way Sean Ross Sapp hates me. Cool? Now, of course, like, there are situations where you can certainly laugh at the guy, and he brings a lot of those on. But there are words that you shouldn't be saying to people, even if they're literally the devil. I digress. I like to think that this is a very positive place. And I would like to keep this as a very positive place. I've allowed myself to become wound up and broken my own rules recently. For that, I apologise. Alex Pires says, what are the plans for Uncle Howdy and his faction? More on that very shortly. In fact, that's up next. Irish says that Fightful podcasters at AEW try Bliss and Triple H's right to take a shot. Khalid says, can't wait for Roman Reigns' face turn. I will still acknowledge him. He will still want you to. King Azza says, Tom, do you think the fans will turn on Cody when he faces The Rock? No. Sean says, your thoughts on Becky and Seth's outfits at the Kentucky Derby? My God, they got people talking. Joey says, is it fair to say Gable Steveson is the worst WWE signing? Nope, Gronk. Spider-Boss says, is Ethan Page's contract with AEW not being renewed? To my knowledge, no, it's not. Rayon says, Tom, do you think Clash at the Castle is where Drew McIntyre wins the world title? Been saying it for months, mate. Absolutely months. Joey says, was The Rock the reason many moved to Vegas? Nope, no correlation whatsoever. This was a purely business decision. Sorry to hear that, Wiggly. Hope you can rest and recover. Eric says, good afternoon, Tom Colohue. How are you doing? With Damage Control versus Bianca Belair feud over, the final win-loss tally is 18-4. Wow, doing your research, man. I like it. Spider-Bot says, Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania 41 would be great. I hope fans don't ruin it again. In what way have they ruined anything? Jess says, surely a 420 WrestleMania means RVD is main eventing? No, because they have plenty of people who smoke weed. It's not just Rob Van Dam. Joey says, do you think we'll see a UFC crossover when they go to Vegas since the UFC is based there? Yes. Sean says, do you like the official King of the Ring poster? Yeah. Lots of belts. King Azza says, Tom, do you see The Rock being the heel against Roman? Yes. Spider-Boss says, SRS attacked me and my friend Tommy when we were giving you credit for the Mercedes money news last year. Yeah, and I don't want to sink to that level. I believe we're doing really well here, and I appreciate you for giving me credit where it was due. You will get attacked by people who don't like it. I believe you can succeed in the wrestling sphere without Sean Ross Sapp. He will never support, so I'm not going to waste my time trying. Robin Dave says, what if Mr. Tom Colohue was invited to the WWE press conference? Historically, when I've interviewed Triple H, he's enjoyed the questions, though he's at times been a little confused by them because they're not news-related. The first one was asking about whether NXT is a developmental territory, and he spoke about that for a long time. And the next one was about the variety in the NXT UK shows. Next piece of news is regards Alexa Bliss. I know there's quite a few people here who are waiting for that. If this is the news you're waiting for, let me know in the chat that you're waiting for Alexa Bliss news, because here it is. Alexa Bliss's return schedule is a little bit up in the air. There is a belief that she'll be returning in and around SummerSlam time. She's actively preparing for her return, but the WWE don't want to make plans for her if they cannot guarantee she will be ready. They don't want to put pressure on her. This is why she is not appearing in the list that PWInsider have leaked about the Wyatt Six. Now, Bray Wyatt was writing a character for Alexa Bliss when Alexa did leave. And the character that he was writing is a character that she would like to play. She is not looking to go back to the goddess, and she felt it was extremely bland, the character that she has played in the past, before she got to the character involving Lily. Her new gear is already being designed and created, and it will tribute Bray Wyatt, and it should be debuting with her incoming return. She's looking to develop on that character that Bray Wyatt wrote, and she's been in discussions with Bo Dallas about having her work with Uncle Howdy, as was the plan before she left the company. It is Alexa Bliss, from what I'm being told, who is pushing to make this happen. Once again, the WWE do not want to put pressure on her. Plans are not finalised at this point in time, so it may depend, when she debuts, where we are with the Bo Dallas Uncle Howdy story. The plan, from what I can tell, is to have them debut before SummerSlam in a clear parallel to the debut of The Fiend. Now, about the list that PWInsider leaked, as regards Joe Gacy, I don't know. I don't have any information there. I'm certainly not going to be someone who pretends that I do. As regards Dexter Lumis, I think he needs this more than anyone. And the fact that he hasn't been released, despite not appearing for months, is very telling. There were discussions about having him work with the Wyatt Six when Bray Wyatt was still with the WWE. I see no reason that that should have changed at this point. If you're glad to hear that news, please double check that you've left a like. We have 58 likes so far, 104 people here. 2 more likes get us to 60. And subscribe if you haven't already, because there will be more Alexa Bliss news, and there'll be more news in general about what's going on with Bo Dallas and the Wyatt 6. There's already plenty of news on this channel that is worth reiterating, so please do check that out. I know quite a few people were interested almost entirely because of the Alexa Bliss news. I'm very glad to be able to bring it to you. Dylan said, given what Triple H said about London and its mayor and the fact that he wants to talk with him, do you see WrestleMania in London in the near future, or is it just him playing into it? Triple H is interested, Nick Khan is not. The City of London cannot afford WrestleMania, unless there's a change in a general election. Joey says, do you got any news on Dexter Lumis? Spider-Boss says, it was weird seeing Seth without a beard. I agree. Alex says, I was shocked Dexter wasn't in WWE TV for a year, since May 2023. Irish says, WWE should be all over signing Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. Sid thinks the worst WWE signing was Eva Marie. Eva Marie was going to get a pretty strong push, and in fact be a SmackDown Women's Champion. She was going to be the very second SmackDown Women's Champion. The push that she would get instead went to Alexa Bliss. They didn't necessarily believe Alexa Bliss was ready at the time, but she got the push, and she absolutely smashed it, hence becoming the champion. Danny says, hello Tom, are women's tag team champions allowed on both brands? Yes they are, and in fact all 3. Robin Dave says, my buddy of mine says Twitter is a cesspool. Also says that WWE fans think they're judged during executioner. Some do, some don't. John says the feud isn't really over since Jade and Bianca can be on both shows. True, but give it time. Jess says, do you think that rumour of The Rock showing up at Movie Sex 8 hours late is true? Personally, no. And I don't believe the sources that are coming out and saying it. Spider-Boss says the women's tag team titles were going well until the ending when the botches appeared. There was one major botch. Thankfully, it was relatively well recovered from. There was a couple of awkward steps. Steve says, do you think the press invited to the press conference should avoid those questions about the business side of WWE AEW? Seems like they open themselves up to get embarrassed and stick to kayfabe. No, I think they should very much push through. I think when Triple H does things like this, he's trying to stop people from asking difficult questions, and it's going to be done very effectively. When it comes to the idea of sticking to kayfabe, this is a press conference. The press should hold management to accountable. Triple H is management. I absolutely think they should push harder, and I think companies which are not PWInsider and Fightful should be asking questions about Triple H's treatment of the media. What I will say is that Triple H does go on the attack in these press conferences. He's done it a number of times, particularly when certain things like AEW pop up. He was briefed ahead of time. It doesn't matter what sources were mentioned. When it comes to Drew Gulak, he had a note and he knew what he was going to say. Joey says, I don't get why SRS doesn't like you. You never attacked him or did anything bad. I think he's just jealous. I don't know why. He has called me a liar on a number of occasions. And honestly, thing is, I don't really care. I just want to enjoy watching wrestling, to be honest. Thor was waiting for the Alexa news. I hope it was what you were looking for. Ricky also in for Alexa news. Brad was excited for Alexa news as well. King Azza says, how come they bring Jacob Fatu, but they brought Tonga Loa instead? I've mentioned this a few times. The idea is that Jacob Fatu at the moment, and Tonga Loa before him, and Tama Tonga in fact, do not yet know how to work the WWE style. What they usually do is put people in NXT so that they can learn the WWE style. The WWE style essentially is code for how to wrestle smoothly. For example, if you do this, you're about to throw a clothesline, but you're not going to hit it. If you do this, you're going to hit it. Stuff like that. You'll notice little things like this. Jacob Fatu has just joined the WWE. He was never going to be appearing at Backlash. I mentioned at the time, there will not be a Jacob Fatu. There will not be an Uncle Howdy. Look at what happened. Ryan says, hey Tom, can you elaborate on how is CM Punk in the locker room, who he is close to and who he is not close to? There is more CM Punk news coming, don't you worry. Spider-Boss says Dark Alexa would be good leading the Uncle Howdy stable. She would not lead an Uncle Howdy stable when Uncle Howdy exists. The Wrestling Pod says we can assume she'll be part of the Bray tribute faction whenever she is ready. The character is being designed with that in mind, yes. Brad says, love this news. Ricky says Braun Strowman won't be in the Wyatt 6. Again, I do feel he will be. I don't think it'll be too long. It's Braun Strowman. They were incredibly close. Brendan, thank you very kindly for becoming a subscriber on the YouTube side. We are continuing to gain subscribers at a decent pace, primarily because of the news we share here. We share news here that you cannot find anywhere else. We've gained another 6 subscribers today alone. And when it comes to this news, if you want more of it, we do spoiler warning every Monday and every Friday. There'll be a brief break in a couple of months when I change house, but other than that, every Monday and every Friday. Sean says, WWE doesn't know when Alexa is returning and neither does she. Correct. Joey says, is Lyra Valkyria the favourite to win the Queen of the Ring? No. Koo says, Nikki Cross was on the list released by PWInsider. Do you have any news on that? None whatsoever, unfortunately. Jess says, Eva Marie was my GOAT. Spiderboss says, I've seen Shawn Michaels NXT since 2021. I wonder what went wrong with Cora Jade. Got lost in the shuffle after a rivalry with Roxanne. They were relaunching her, and she unfortunately got injured. Dinora says, I think we can see Usos versus G.O.D. Absolutely, I think we will. Alex says, CM Punk leaked the WrestleMania 36 card in his IG stories. The original plan was Brock Lesnar versus Tyson Fury for the WWE Championship. What? Did you hear this, Tom? Yeah, and I've actually reported it way back at the time as well, yeah. Sean says, do you think CM Punk will be cleared by SummerSlam? Yep. Daniel Berry says, hey everyone, happy Monday. Mashup says, any comment on Dave Meltzer reportedly saying The Rock came back to wrestling because his film career was failing? I haven't seen that quote, so I can't really comment or speculate on it. Spiderboss says, it's amazing how good Bianca has become since her time with the role models until now. Bianca looked good carrying the match for her team. Bianca Belair has improved massively in the last few years. Razar says Triple H has not answered any of the serious questions well in these press conferences. He always seems so defensive and flustered. Yeah, and that's why they need to keep asking them. They need to give the WWE a chance to comment, even if it's just a case of a no comment. Sid says Randy Orton was over with a French crowd. Who wasn't? The other Mike says, I'm sorry the supernatural Alexa character is not great. I'm just not interested in that fiend stuff. Let her be the goddess and just wrestle. None of that extra spooky stuff. Joey says, are they going to let Jacob Fatu do his big spots, or will they have him work as a generic big man? He will be doing the big spots, which is why I think he might be a face. Eric says, I think we'll have King Ludwig and Queen Dakota. Ludwig Kaiser is not in the King of the Ring bracket. Also, it looks like Dakota Kai is not in the Queen of the Ring bracket, which is awkward. Sean says, do you know anything about the reports that Mike Rome is going to be ring announcing for NXT and Alicia Taylor is being called up? Yes, that's happening. Age says, was CM Punk really locked up in WWE HQ? Yes, he was. Is that my next piece of news? No, but let's get to my next piece of news while I get through the chat. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both have contracts that are expiring around the Royal Rumble time in 2025. There was huge speculation when their contracts will last up just before Sami Zayn joined the Bloodline and right after the Johnny Knoxville match. Huge speculation that they should leave WWE, but they were not interested in doing so. They believed in the WWE. Once again, at this point, neither have any interest in leaving. This has hit the news because the new talent relations setup created a list of all expiring contracts to send to Nick Khan. Talent relations is a lot more on the case now than they were when other people were in play. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will likely renew their contracts. They have no interest in leaving. They are not asking for limited date. They are not asking for world championships. They just want to keep going, and they are happy as they are. So I don't see any issues there, and we will likely see a number of people have new contracts in the next few months. The WWE are not waiting until the last minute, and with the new talent relations set up, they know full well exactly when someone's contract is going to expire. Robin Dave says Solo is so great, but Paul Heyman's facial expressions are legendary. Paul is being held hostage and fearing for his life. I wholeheartedly agree. Steve says, do you like Maven Huffman's channel? He explains how to do a proper clothesline. The chest pecs making contact produces a sound. The extended arm should not touch the face or head. Yeah, it's the chop, but longer. Spiderboss says French fans were so loud at Backlash that the sing-along with Randy's theme was cool. Dylan says when Roman returned at SummerSlam, do you think he's going to have a match, or is it just going to be how the show ends with him potentially attacking The Rock? I don't think he's going to return at SummerSlam. I expect the next appearance to be in and around SummerSlam, but I'm starting to think that might not be the case. Few people had an ad. Thank you for letting me know, guys. Marcel, Dylan, Eric, all had an ad. I appreciate you giving me the heads up. The ads do fund the channel, but they do sort of kick... People get ads and they leave. That's just something that happens. As soon as they get an ad, they leave. It's incredibly disappointing, but it is what it is, and we do what we can. We do have 102 people here right now, 62 likes. 3 more gets us to 65. I'd very much appreciate it. Jess wants us to get to 69, which would also be nice. Thank you, Sid, for the clarification. It does seem like I've fixed some of the problems we were having, and I appreciate you keeping me updated on it. Jess says, I'm once again asking if you heard who kissed CM Punk on the lips at Survivor Series, and I once again do not have a name for you. Noob says, CM Punk stranded in the new HQ over the weekend is the stuff of legend. Alex says, what European country is WWE looking at, like Spain, Chile, Italy, etc., to do a PLE? Essentially, whichever ones will pay the most. They will genuinely go anywhere. I'll mention Portugal, by the way. Q43 says, Karrion Kross unfortunately wasn't over in France, but I'm not sure what they should do with him. Yeah, the loss at WrestleMania did not help. Dinero says, I think that we can see Bianca versus Jade match at next WrestleMania. Quite possibly, though Bianca versus Charlotte is still on the agenda. Juan says, hey Tom, according to Brandon Thurston, who is the #1 wrestling journalist, he said that the Elite angle drew 70k viewers in quarter 5, rating was 704,000. Maybe the storyline will work. That storyline is working, but unfortunately all of the focus is on that one storyline. Razar says, what does WWE think of Karrion Kross? There's been a lot of online discourse about him after SmackDown. I think he needs work, and I think he needs WWE to back him. So the fact that he's going to spend some time in NXT will be a bonus. Tanaja says, soon CM Punk KO Sami Zayn, part of All Elite. Nope. Are you just not watching? Brandon says, what's next for KO and Randy? So they'll be looking to finalise their contracts first. At the moment, the tag team of Randy Orton is doing good things for Kevin Owens, and he's pretty happy overall. Sami Zayn has a Intercontinental Championship run. He will be defending that championship quite a lot, so he's going to get a few months out of that one. Leon says, Adam Pearce just announced that Drew McIntyre is not medically cleared, so his match with Finn is not happening. I did not personally expect it to, because, while he is medically cleared, he was never going to win. I'll tell you more later, but the plan, as it was for Drew McIntyre to lose, likely against Gunther. Ilja Druganov was also a contender to beat Drew McIntyre. It sounds to me very much like a Steve Austin-Brock Lesnar situation. Bailey says it's still puzzling how WWE could not have kept up contract expiry for their talents, but it once happened. It did. Joey No News on Gallus. Irish, I don't necessarily have teams. I'm sure they'll tell us soon. Spiderball says, when Heyman saw Jey Uso at Backlash was like, please help me. Yes, it was. Thank you, Rizal, for bringing that news in as well. Dylan says, you said Roman might not return around SummerSlam. What do you mean his next scheduled appearance is SummerSlam? It's around SummerSlam. Yes, I think that might not happen. I think they might push it back further to keep this cheer going. Particularly if Jacob Fatu is involved. I think SummerSlam might instead be Usos versus GOD. Yes, Rosario, it's legit. Well, his storyline legit. He is cleared. They've just protected him. Thank you, Marcel, as well. Ross says, late arriving Tom, heading back to the start. I've hit like. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate you. We have 68 likes now, nearly 70. Spiderboss says, do you think Omega is cleared since he took bumps on Dynamite last week? He's never been medically not cleared. He's never been not cleared to wrestle. It's just a bad idea. Eric says, what should be Drew McIntyre behind CM Punk being locked up inside WWE headquarters? Let's dive in on this. Because I have CM Punk news. CM Punk did get trapped, briefly, in WWE HQ. He made a lot of content and had shared it slowly over time. WWE management genuinely enjoyed what he was posting on Instagram during the show and got in contact with him to basically say, hey, go here, do this. Go here, do this. His decision to get straight on social media was incredibly well received, and WWE have encouraged him to release his content slowly over the course of a couple of days. He will be talking about it again in future. As regards to CM Punk and Big E, they have been extremely well received on the kickoff shows. Extremely well received. Even Nick Khan has made a point of how much he enjoys their chemistry and their work with Jackie Redmond. The WWE are not sure who to replace CM Punk with once he returns from injury, so there may be a slight overlap between Punk returning and his work on the kickoff show. Watch out for the moment they do a kickoff show at an arena, because I suspect that will be the one where CM Punk makes a dramatic return. Only piece of news remaining is about Ilja Druganov, but we have plenty of questions still to get through. Jess says, are the women going to be having WWE speed matches? Eventually, yes. Noob says, I really like the international PLEs, however the Saudi PLEs is something else. I, as you know, do not watch the Saudi PLEs and I'm not intending to. Roman isn't going on holiday to Nigeria, he's already gone. KJ says, what's up, Tom? What's up, KJ? Sid says, I hope WWE don't get rid of Samantha Irvin. Why would they? Have they shown any interest in doing so? Lauren, hello, says, hey boss man, any new rumours coming out of AEW? And then screams, why have they booked a show in the stinking desert? New area, doesn't often get coverage, might sell some tickets. They do need to broaden their horizons, and I don't think you disagree with that. Koo says they could definitely turn Punk getting locked in WWE HQ into a storyline, saying that McIntyre is the one who did it. Drew McIntyre will likely do that for them. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk have basically been making this storyline happen themselves, and Triple H has been going, yeah, do it, just do it, don't even tell me, just do it. Alex says, Survivor Series 2024 War Games between the new Bloodline, Solo, Tamatonga, Tongaloa and Jacob Fatu versus the OG Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso and the honorary Us, Sami Zayn. Is this a good idea? Do you believe this idea is floating around backstage in WWE? There's been talk of it, yes. Nothing is finalised, but they are putting ideas together. More likely we'll see other people involved than Sami Zayn though. That name's been mentioned, but he is going to be the IC Championship for a while. He's not going to be the championship, he's going to be the champion for a while. KJ says, is there a replacement for Drew? Yes, I don't know who, but there will be. Bubba says, which is your favourite, Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker or Braun Strowman? I'm liking Bron Breakker's work, but it is a bit of recency bias. Robin Dave says, when Roman returns, don't announce it, the louder the pop, expect the unexpected. That's the plan. They didn't announce that Roman was returning when he returned at SummerSlam. KJ says, I'd imagine Gunter wins the Raw side. More on that later. Spider-Man says, I think Roman will return at SummerSlam, saving the Usos from Solo and G.O.D. Sid, don't care. Just as AJ Lee calls Big E her son, nicer stepdad Punk is getting along with him too. Rickan says, when is the Y6 debuting? I've mentioned that earlier on in the show. Pop back to about 20 minutes in, and it's right there. Spider-Man says, shout out to Big E for mentioning Chilean fans as one of the loudest crowds. Sean says, what is the concept of WWE Speed? Basically, Elon Musk pays the WWE to record something for about 20 seconds. He says, will Ricochet carry the Speed title on TV? Yep, he's already been doing it at live shows, sort of giving the game away. Dylan says, the earliest, when do you see the Usos reuniting to take on the new Bloodline? I see it after SummerSlam. SummerSlam would be the earliest. Spider-Boss says, women's matches in WWE does count for WWE Speed since the matches last 2 to 5 minutes, which is not unfair. No, Bailey is not the old 24/7 championship. No, Eric, I don't see NXT having Drake and Kendrick on, but if there is any interest in them, Shawn Michaels will make it happen. Shrewd business. Juan says, according to Cody Rhodes himself, he didn't appreciate Timeless Tony Storm's shot at him. Apparently it was a big deal to him. Yeah, was it? Rickan says, is WWE interested in Zilla Fatu? I don't know. I don't have information on that one, unfortunately. And Bubba says, have you acknowledged the Ring General? I'd met him and interviewed him twice. Does that count? Razar says, I think Gunter is a clear frontrunner for King of the Ring, but I really can't think of one for Queen of the Ring. Maybe Io, but I don't know. It really depends who's popping in from SmackDown side. I suspect the Queen of the Ring might be someone on SmackDown like a Mia Yim. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. Jade Cargill, certainly I think is worth a mention, despite the fact she just won her first championship. So I think she's definitely worth mentioning as well. What I will say for the men's is that Gunter is definitely the favourite based on where he's been. However, I'm being told that there are plans to make sure that Ilja Druganov hits the ground running with the WWE and has a very strong start. A match with Gunter seems pretty much set in stone, and if Gunter is to win, he'll have to get through Ilja Druganov. I think Ilja Druganov might have a few people sleeping on him for King of the Ring. That would certainly be a way to introduce someone with a hell of a lot of fanfare. I'd be down for that, and I'd be very excited to see what he does next. Gunter, having just lost to Sami Zayn, can afford another loss before they kick him back into gear. So I think now is more likely than ever. Ilja Druganov will be hitting the ground running. Triple H is really behind this guy. Sean says, since Candice and India heels, could we see a reunion of The Way? We could if Johnny Gargano was a heel, which he's not. KJ says, any word on Jimmy Uso's injury, or was it just kayfabe? It's not kayfabe, but I don't have a return date at this point. Dylan says, I see Tiffany Stratton as Queen of the Ring, which I think is a very good shout. I definitely like that. I think a first round match between Tiffany and Naomi could be very good. Sean says, imagine if Charlotte is Queen of the Ring. She's not. H says, Gunther should win the Royal Rumble. I agree, but I think that's why he shouldn't win King of the Ring. Eric says, I noticed Liv isn't in the tournament. Do you think she'll be occupied with Becky at King/Queen of the Ring? Yes, I do. We had the SmackDown side for the Women's Championship at Backlash. They should rotate now. Bailey says, Queen Asuka would be low-key funny. Wouldn't hate it. Rizal says, I've become a big Ilya fan. I didn't watch NXT UK, but seeing him on NXT in the US, it became one of my faves. I hope he does well on the main roster. Me too, and I can definitely see that happening. We have 100 viewers in at the moment. We peaked at 103, which is pretty substantial. Brendan, thank you kindly. A very generous donation. Says, thank you, Roman. And Tiffy in the bank. Please do hit like on the donation from Brendan. We hit 12 likes earlier with Martin. Can you outdo the 12 likes? Because if so, people might get competitive. I'd be down for that. It'd be funny. Spider-Bass says, who should get credit for the creation of AEW, Cody or TK and the Elite? Both. Cody deserves credit for being a founder of AEW. Nobody gets credit for the whole thing. Blue says, the Triple H guys and girls who hung on through those last Vince days are really getting their faith returned. Yes, they are. And Dexter Loomis may be one of them. We're going to wrap it up there. 71 likes, 45 minutes of show, and a great time had, by the very least, me. I'll see you again on Friday for more, and of course on Wednesday for PLE Wednesdays. And until then, I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.